So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Artemis. So let's start the series. Naruto. Time to get up. We have class in a couple of hours. 5 more minutes. He muttered, covering his face further into his cushion. Hell, Naruto. Athena snapped, her voice slicing through his tired fog like a kunai. It's your chance to make breakfast. In the event that you don't awaken in the following 3 seconds, I'll ensure the ramen shop you love boycotts you for a month. Naruto shot up like a kunai leaving a launcher. I'm up, he hollered, unintentionally pushing over Athena, who had been remaining at the edge of his bed. Her glare froze him mid-movement. It wasn't simply any glare. It was her glare, the one that could incapacitate anybody, from prepared shinobi to a scared institute understudy like him. Athena, Naruto thought apprehensively. The most astute young lady in the Foundation and the worst thing about the Nara tribe. She's a legend among the ninja, overcoming veterans of the last shinobi battle in chess, Go, and other methodology games. Indeed, even Shikaka Nara, the Jonin commandant, needed to tutor her after she destroyed him in 3 back-to-back rounds of chess played at the same time. What's more, her lance and safeguard combos in weapons class. Unrivaled for ages. The main individual who can equal her close by-to-hand battle is her sister. As he swiftly got dressed, a yawn reverberated through the room. Naruto looked toward the entryway to see Athena's sister walking around, looking as loose as a feline after a rest. Good day, Athena. I see you got the resting excellence up, Naruto moaned. I actually don't get that reference, he murmured, pulling on his orange jumpsuit. Artemis, Naruto thought, taking a look at her. The best tracker, marksman, and blade wielder in the town. Like Athena, she's an expert in all that she does. She broke the Foundation chase record recently held by Sasuke's more seasoned sibling, and when Sasuke got too handsy attempting to ask her out, she beat him so gravely he was hospitalized for 7 days. The town scarcely rebuffed her for it. All things considered, he made them come. She's a glad individual from Kappa, the Konoha hostile to Deviant Union, with a seat on the Inward Gathering. Also, her point? She's never missed an objective, whether with kunai, shuriken, or whatever else. No one but Athena can provoke her close by-to-hand battle. Naruto concentrated on the 2 sisters momentarily. Athena, with her long, dull light hair tied in a perplexing meshed braid, wore standard ANBU pants and a straightforward shirt highlighting an owl. Artemis, then again, was wearing a silver knee-length dress, her hair free yet kept down with a headband. Both emanated an imperishable air, as though they had seen definitely a greater amount of the world than anybody their age ought to. Naruto shuddered marginally. He knew not to get on their awful side. The sisters had made it precious stone understood. Assuming he at any point took a stab at anything somewhat unseemly, they'd make him think twice about it so completely that even eternity's most terrible disciplines would appear to be an excursion. In this way, what is it that you young ladies need for breakfast? Naruto asked, venturing into the kitchen and social occasion his devices. Eggs, toast, wieners, and juice, Athena answered, currently fascinated in a book on cutting-edge development procedures. For me, Artemis said, inactively honing one of her blades. Toast, ham, frankfurters, and apple and water, please. Naruto feigned exacerbation as he got to work. The sisters settled at the table, each lost in their own errands. In this way, anything new with Kappa, Artemis? Naruto asked as he broke eggs into the skillet. Indeed, Naruto was a pleased individual from the gathering, however not so high-positioning as the sisters. Not much, Artemis answered, reviewing her blade's edge. We figured out how to boycott the offer of Ica Heaven in another area, yet it's actually being sold in a couple of spots run by those distorted fanboys. We did, be that as it may, consume 30 additional duplicates from Kakashi's reserve, and we've distinguished the distributor's primary office. Before long, we'll guarantee the following volume never comes around. Naruto smiled at that. He had no affection for the distorted books or their fans, so the possibility of easing back their spread was a success in his book. I actually fail to see the reason why the Hokage won't simply boycott those books altogether, Athena said, her voice quiet yet sharp as could be. He's the head of the town and evidently upholds our objective. Regardless of whether he peruses the junk, we're just requesting a restriction on open deals and perusing. Naruto grunted. The books get income for the town, and the shrewd male individuals from the gathering will not permit it. Also, a portion of the ladies on the chamber casted a ballot against the boycott as well. The threesome fell into quiet as Naruto wrapped up cooking, the main sound being the sizzle of food on the burner. Afterward, as the three strolled toward the foundation for what they trusted would be their last day as understudies, Athena looked at Naruto. However she and her sister might have graduated a long time back, they had deliberately remained in the foundation to guarantee they would be put in his group. Taichi, the goddess of fortune, be caring to Naruto today, Athena thought. This is his last opportunity to pass. Assuming he fizzles, his fantasy will break before it even beginnings. Artemis had comparative contemplations. However, she had a contingency plan on the off chance that things went south. In the event that Naruto bombed today, she would propose to prepare him by and by, away from the town, until he turned into a ninja so talented that each town would ask to select him. In the interim, Naruto's considerations were consumed by nervousness. He wasn't stressed over the composed test. Athena's instructing strategies had guaranteed he'd pass that. The injuries from her last mentoring meeting actually made him jump at the memory. Be that as it may, the cloning jutsu? That was his weak spot. Locals tossed glares their direction as they passed. However, none thought about acting. Naruto reviewed one example when a tomato had been flung at the gathering. That evening, the culprit had been gone after by owls and wolves. A resulting examination uncovered he'd been offering insider facts to IWA. He was quickly given over to Ibiki. Naruto had consistently contemplated whether Athena and Artemis had at least something to do with it, yet their puzzling grins at whatever point the subject emerged left him doubting in the event that he genuinely figured out anything about them. All anybody realized about the sisters was that they hailed from a distant land past the perpetual ocean, a spot they called America. The stories they shared talked about mechanical wonders that outperformed even the snow country. However, they wouldn't uncover the area, saying that their country's well-being relied upon its mystery. I wish they confided in me more, Naruto thought, looking back at them. It seems like they're concealing something attached to why they got to know me so immediately, even with all the disdain from the residents. His thoughts finished as they arrived at the Institute's approaching entryways. You fizzle. Those words reverberated within Naruto's head as he entered the Hokage Tower. He didn't have the foggiest idea. He was certain that he breezed through the paper assessment and he was one of the top taijutsu understudies, because of both Athena and Artemis. Yet, for reasons unknown, his chakra went haywire during the ninjutsu segment of the test. His kawarimi went prefectly, however his henge was awful to the point it was annoying. Also, his bunshin. He had been chipping away at it with his companions for the beyond 3 years, and it was ideal 3 days prior. In any case, the white muck on the floor had said everything. Naruto had dashed out of the structure so Athena and Artemis couldn't see that he fizzled. Yet, something within him murmured that they knew. His not getting back home for the festival gala would have educated them at this point. Got to center. Mizuki said that I needed to take a look over that he had set apart inside the pinnacle so I could turn into a genin. Then I can show the young ladies that I made it. Naruto thought as he gradually tiptoed towards Gigi's office. Dodging behind a pot with a tree in it, Naruto looked as Gigi's ANBU begun their rounds. Subsequent to building up to the number that Mizuki gave him, Naruto dashed quietly however the ways to the Hokage's office and gone into the space to one side. Seeing the parchment, Naruto went to leave. Shutting the entryways behind Hello with the look on his back, Naruto began to sneak out. Previously, Naruto? What's happening with you? Sound of blood gushing crash. Where is that kid? Artemis pondered as she sat on the love seat, honing on of her arrow points. Athena was in the easy chair, cleaning her safeguard while attempting to check whether she could fix the scratch in it. A quick version, Naruto once took her safeguard and involved it as a sled to ride down the Hokage mountain, some way or another harming it in the ride down the mountainside. Artemis grunted, attempting to stifle a chuckle at the memory of Athena going ballistic as Naruto's sled passed her on her safeguard. Goodness! If by some stroke of good luck I had something to have recorded the occasion. What is he doing at present? Artemis, could you at any point tell whatsoever? Athena asked her sister. Artemis feigned exacerbation. The fact that he flopped again makes Athena him upset. How about we let him be separated from everyone else until he feels prepared to tell us? Naruto has just had his fantasy and us to make all the difference for him. In light of this most despised disappointment, the kid presumably is taken this another individual than the others. What I don't comprehend was the means by which he had bombed in any case. You ensured that he would pass the composing part and I the hand-to-hand in addition to the precision tests. His ninjutsu, while he has troublesomely, shouldn't have made him fizzle. Athena snarled and scoured more earnestly at a touch of soil on her safeguard. There lies the issue. I even utilized the fog to really take a look at his responses and keeping in mind that he missed a couple, there was sufficient right that he ought to have passed come what may. However, whenever I had the opportunity to see the evaluated structure, it said that he just got half right. No, Irika doesn't have anything to acquire. Athena's fingers began to drum on her safeguard. He is an instructor on a basic level and really needs to see his understudies develop. Yet, Mizuki, he is somebody that has never striked me as a dependable shinobi of the leaf. Artemis is going to answer her sister when she saw somebody heading towards the condo entryway. Flagging Athena, she strolled toward the entryway, blazing on another closet. Artemis was presently wearing, rather than her silver tunic, a couple of shoes, shorts, and a shirt that had a quarter moon on the rear of it. Opening the entryway, she saw the gasping type of Irika. Master, what's wrong? You seem as though you have been pursuing Tora once more. Athena strolled up and remained behind her sister, presently in causal dress. It would raise eye temples in the event that they came to the entryway with their favored looks. Irika gazed at the two preceding, asking in a rushed and low tone, "Have you seen Naruto, both of you?" "No, master, we haven't seen him. The last we saw of him was the point at which he was on the swing after the test." Irika reviled. "Do both of you know where he might have gone?" "What's up, Irika? Is Naruto in a difficult situation?" "Naruto has, as far as anyone knows, taken the illegal parchment." Naruto checked out at the unrolled look before him. Alright, Miruki Master said that assuming that I took this parchment and brought it here without anybody following, I will end up being a genin. What's more, in the event that I gain hidden from the parchment, Artemis and Athena will be in my group. When his eyes arrived on the primary mystery on the look over, his heart sank. For what reason does it need to begin with a cloning jutsu? Protesting to himself, Naruto investigated the jutsu. Shadow clones or multi-shadow clones. A high chakra use method. Client acquires any information the clones realize when they dissipate. Cool. Shadow shuriken. Client tosses a solitary throwing start and uses their chakra to make genuine duplicates of the star. Shadow kunai. Same as shuriken. Naruto wound up going, however the hand finishes paperwork for the cloning jutsu. Poof, Naruto smiled. He was so going to breeze through the assessment. Mizuki lay gasping on the woodland floor. How is it that I could have lost to the evil presence imp? He thought with outrage. His body was sore from the mass beating Naruto gave him. A snapping of a branch let him know he was in good company. Who's there? Show yourself. Be quiet. Mizuki's eyes augmented with dismay as his lips fixed shut, like sewed together by an undetectable power. He attempted to move to retaliate, yet his body sold out him, deadened by some inconspicuous power. Alarm flooded through him as two figures ventured out from the shadows of the trees. Both were ladies, their presence directing and totally alarming. The first wore a glimmering silver dress and conveyed a scored bow, prepared to fire. The second wore ladle-like reinforcement, her hand holding a sword that flickered forebodingly in the evening glow. Mizuki's psyche hustled, attempting to put them. He knew them from some place. That voice. I know that voice. He thought, his psyche spiraling into despair. The lady in the dress ended the quietness, her tone as cold as the night air. Try not to expect salvage. The ANBU won't come for you. We've changed their recollections. They accept you kicked the bucket by a self-destruction seal. You thought for even a moment to hurt our companion, the shielded lady added, her voice firm and instructing, similar to a fighter condemning. Also, presently you'll follow through on the cost. The fields of discipline look for you. The main lady's lips twisted into a risky sneer. Before we send you off, I believe it's significant you grasp something, Mizuki. Maddening two goddesses is a lethal slip-up. Mizuki's heart sank as her words enrolled. His breath stimulated, and a staggering feeling of fear wrapped him. The weak yells of wolves filled the timberland, developing nearer with each second. With a flood of frantic strength, filled by disdain and dread, Mizuki figured out how to shout. You're that evil presence imp's little companions. The silver-dressed lady, Artemis, smiled, uncovering her teeth, while her friend, Athena, stood stone-confronted, her eyes shining faintly. The wolves rose up out of the shadows, their snarls filling the night air. Indeed, Artemis murmured into Mizuki's ear, her voice dribbling with perniciousness. Also, do you have at least some idea what you are? Mizuki's blood ran cold as Artemis inclined in nearer. Supper. The wolves jumped. Mizuki's shouts reverberated through the woods, unexpectedly hushed as the pack dropped upon him. Artemis observed emotionlessly, her demeanor mixed up. Athena, uninterested in the savagery, directed her concentration toward the man's spirit, actually fastened to his dormant body by a sparkling chain. With an influx of her hand, Athena called Tisiphone one of the rages. The gigantic figure showed up in a whirl of dark fog, bowing low. You called Paramour Athena? Athena signaled to the body and chain. This spirit has a place in the fields of discipline. Illuminate my uncle to make his torture critical. As you order, Tisiphone answered, grasping the chain. With a chilling giggle, she disappeared, hauling Mizuki's moaning soul with her. Athena went to Artemis. Is Irica safe? Artemis gestured. I mended him and changed his memory. He accepts the ANBU saved him and brought him home. Concerning Naruto, I left his recollections for the most part unblemished. Barely enough to line up with what the ANBU will report. The two goddesses peered down at the resting kid. Unbeknownst to Naruto, he had recently procured himself a discipline. One he would probably remember forever. The following morning, Naruto wriggled awkwardly, bound firmly and incapable to get away. Athena and Artemis remained on one or the other side of him, each holding a spoon. One spoon held a foaming dark blend that snarled forebodingly, while the other held a silver goop that sizzled and incidentally attempted to eat the spoon. Naruto swallowed, peering toward the appalling substances. Please accept my apologies. I truly am. Show kindness, he argued, making an honest effort to utilize his big adorable eyes. Artemis sneered. Pleasant attempt, however, no. You will eat one of these, your discipline for the previous evening. Athena added, you want energy for preparing, and skipping feasts isn't a choice. This is to your benefit, and for not letting us know what Mizuki said. Kindly, I'll at absolutely no point ever do it in the future, Naruto asked, battling against the ropes. Enough crying. Athena squeezed his nose, constraining him to open his mouth. Artemis made a move to push a spoonful of her silver goop in. Naruto's eyes moved back, and he swooned on the spot. The other genin watched the scene unfurl in staggered quietness. Indeed, even Sasuke, typically unconcerned, recoiled each time Artemis' cold look cleared over him. Are you attempting to kill him? Choji asked, appalled. That stuff seems as though it's alive. Artemis waved pompously. You can definitely relax, it's totally protected. This is simply to terrify him a tad. Genuine discipline comes later. Shikamaru murmured from his seat close by. Problematic ladies, he mumbled. For what reason do they generally need to go up to this point? Somewhere else, at the ramen stand, Tucci and Ayam were partaking in a startling day of extravagance. Gifted hands sorted out bunches of their mussels, and calming underground aquifers looked for them. This is astonishing, Tucci murmured as his back was rubbed. However, for what reason do I feel like I ought to be once again working? Ayam, tasting a glass of wine, murmured in understanding. Best wine I've at any point tasted. Unbeknownst to them, this startling extravagance was organized by Artemis, guaranteeing the ramen stand was shut for the afternoon. Back at the preparation grounds, Naruto was going to realize what it genuinely intended to cross two goddesses. An irregular voice sprung up. Yet, didn't Artemis bomb in the cooking and baking courses? Artemis and her sister's appearances went clear. They then took a gander at one another, then checked Naruto out. His spirit gradually ascending out structure his mouth yet before it could leave completely. Athena snatched it by the tail and stuffed it back into Naruto. See what I mean? Nothing to stress over. The class enthusiastically created some distance from the sisters as they smiled at Naruto. Feigning exacerbation as Naruto was not awake, Athena slapped Naruto alert. He's fine. No, I didn't transform into bear young lady that took out the distorted Hokage, Naruto shouted as he got up. A quiet fell over the room and Naruto began to perspire was too overdriving unfeeling and incensed emanations occupied the room. All right, everybody settle down. Irika teacher began as he went into the room feeling that it was about to be a normal day back. Just to find Artemis and Athena spilling Ki at Naruto, who was restricted. Please Artemis and Athena, hold on until groups are gotten back to prior to getting to harming one of your kindred alumni. The two goddesses' heads gradually went precisely to the Chun-Nin with shining eyes and gestured. The two of them plunked down on one or the other side of Naruto, so he was unable to get away from their anger. Irika cleared his trio and started perusing off the rundown of groups. Group 1 is Athena. Did you ensure that we are in the same boat as Naruto? Indeed. Anyway, I need to roll out certain improvements. The man had Kakashi as the group head of Group 7, which had Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke in it. He planned to set up under a join as her test advancement test by ourselves. However, I transformed it with the goal that she and Kakashi were preparing the 5 of us. Smart thought. He will be all the more then probably angry with Naruto after we had him take his pornography and persuade him to think he actually had it while we consumed them. Presently on to the next job needing to be done. How would it be advisable for us we treat Naruto? Gee, I think something unique as I naturally suspect an exemplary would cause to a lot to notice us. Team 7 is comprised of 5 individuals due to a few strange occasions. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, Artemis, and Athena. Your officers are Kakashi and Anko. Team. A fascinating decision, sister. Anko is an outsider like Naruto before she gained companions. She is a fine human lady that I wish that I might have enrolled into the chase. All things considered, we want to watch out for the individuals from the board and Sasuke. He needs us as we are the ones in particular that will give areas of strength for him to him, and the board is controlled by his allies. Concurred. I want you to enjoy all that life has to offer. Irika got done and taken a gander at this year's yield of ninja. Presently here are your new crew commanders. He would have had gotten done. However, Naruto escaped his bonds and plunged through the window, if by some stroke of good luck to draw out his life from the fury of the 2 females. Athena and Artemis took one gander at one another and afterward pursued him. The class was calm as they generally petitioned Kami that the young ladies wouldn't kill Naruto. It was a lot to request the couple to save Naruto the aggravation. Hinata looked as the couple vanished over the rooftop tops. Naruto-kun. Naruto dodged into backstreet as bolts landed where he was simply running previously. However, gasping, he made a few shadow clones to cover for him as he dashed. Various poofs were heard as he cleared the rear entryway and back onto the road. Get back here. No, Naruto recited in his mind as he utilized a post to swing himself far removed of a swarm of bolts that Artemis sent his direction. Utilizing the energy of the swing, Naruto sent off himself onto a void-fixed truck with a crash. Getting a handle on a kunai, he utilized it to hinder a slice from a fragment hunting blade, while utilizing his other hand to redirect the lance push coming from his opposite side. You're getting better, Naruto. Athena stated with a sparkle in her eyes as she arrived on the truck. Artemis was peaceful. However, her eyes were of one like a hunter. The truck moaned before it began to drop down slope as its additional weight let conquering its mooring be capable. As it moved, the triplet battled. Artemis with her blades resembled an artist, streaming in and out of Naruto's reach with beauty, moving starting with one piece of the truck then onto the next. Athena with her lance battled Naruto at a more mid-range, or if nothing else endeavored. While she was a goddess and could simply balance out herself so she could battle better, It would remove the pleasant that she was having attempting to harm Naruto. Concerning Naruto, he moved from one piece of the truck battling protectively while searching for openings. Utilizing his kunai and legs, Naruto impeded, avoided, or barely outright evaded the two females' assaults. Shadow clones would have aided, yet with the truck dropping at high paces down the road and with Artemis and Athena not letting off their assaults, Naruto was constrained not to utilize them. Kakashi ought to have go along with me in assessing these three, Anko thought as she watched them battle. However, no. He needed to go to each of the Genin's houses to find out about what to search for with the Hokage of every one of their characteristics. Taking a gander at every one of them, Anko made a psychological rundown of each Genin's qualities and shortcomings. Artemis knows the three fundamental jutsu that the Institute trains now to pass, can utilize almost any lengthy reach weapon and utilizations hunting blades for close corners battle. Genjutsu is an obscure as of the present moment. Shortcoming, her enemy of pervertness needs to go now a touch so she won't create issues for clients. Standing up, Anko dashed on the rooftop tops, following the triplet, who had left the truck after it crashed. Seeing that Naruto was feeling the strain, Anko chose to help the kid. Subsequent to taking the last nibble of her treat, Anko tossed the stick and looked as it speared Athena's leg. It was anything but a devastating blow, yet one that would thwart her speed. Athena, an expert of strategies, however, her pride and absence of wanting to manage outside impedance should be managed sooner afterward. While she can utilize any weapon, her safeguard and lance combo is very great. I can't help thinking about what she could do in the event that she could utilize shadow clones to her blend. Concerning Genjutsu, she is somewhat feeble against it, nearly to Naruto's level. As she was naturally suspecting this, Naruto was attempting to concoct an arrangement to a not be killed and b move away. Anyway, with the pair being quicker and more brilliant than he was, Naruto was running on karma and high-speed changes so he could be unusual. Notwithstanding, the spot he felt that they would look last was the first place he went, as it would be the primary spot they would figure he would go. So he went there since they wouldn't head there first, since they didn't think he was simply dumb. Presently he was right here on all fours in shock and hopelessness. Before him was his most loved ramen stand with a shut sign in enormous striking letters. It likewise said that Ichiraka Ramen would stay shut until additional notification. Not the ramen, everything except the ramen. Excuse me, sir. Yet might you at any point assist me with something? Naruto admired a man dressed as a postal worker ninja. He had light hair and eyes that shone like somebody who was an individual wisecracker. Naruto had seen courier ninja previously, yet this one was unique. Not understanding what it was, Naruto credited it to the man's articulation, as it was different than any he had heard previously. I'm attempting to track down the individual that this letter is for. Maybe you can help. Without a doubt. Who are you searching for? Before the man could say anything, Naruto moved to the side as bolts descended upon him. Not this once more. He intellectually groaned until he saw that joined to the bolts were unstable seals. Poop! The blast sent him flying high up, where he was given a punt from an illuminated Artemis. The male ninja looked as Artemis began to pound Naruto. Not that he knew who the kid was. Be that as it may, he knew who the young lady was. Before Artemis could resist his presence, the man obscured away. As he dashed to his objective, the man intellectually thought about the thing his sister was doing in the town. Naruto sat in the homeroom shrouded in injuries and cuts after his battle with Athena and Artemis. Sasuke was agonizing in the corner as expected, with Sakura asking him for a date. Athena sat on the educator's work area, perusing a book named Fixing Strategies Volume 7 by Mito Uzumaki, and was holding an ice pack on her leg. Artemis was on his lap, holding a knife between his legs as she fed him. She had, coincidentally she guaranteed, wounded both of his hands with her blades, and presently they were in projects until tomorrow so they could mend. Sakura said that she just did so in light of the fact that Naruto was a baka and ought not be a ninja. Artemis investigated the young lady prior to sitting on Naruto's lap and taking care of him some rice from her lunchbox. As she did so, Artemis stuck her tongue out at her and Sasuke, who was going to ask her for a date. Try not to inquire. No, I'm great, Naruto threw as his sweat dropped. I was anxious about the possibility that assuming you remained on me for any longer I could have lost my device. So for what reason did you sit on my lap as opposed to sitting as an afterthought? Artemis' face erupted. Athena grinned as her sister attempted to think of a reason. While Artemis was the goddess of virgins, she was likewise the goddess of ladies, and on occasion those two were in conflict inside her. While she would surrender it, on occasion Artemis behaved like a lady in adoration with every one of the indications of first love. Nothing went too far, yet it was irritating for her family and trackers to think about. It's been excessively lengthy since we associated with different pieces of our creatures. Athena thought as she felt that her body was feeling off, contrasted with an ordinary eternal clone/fake body. Assuming that affection goddess or her child accomplished something, I will kill them. The entryway opened and a fragment hair man jabbed his head in. Yo, meet me and Anko on the rooftop top in 5. He then poofed away as Sakura began to shout at him. The 4 genin hustled after him so they could try not to go hard of hearing from Sakura's voice. Naruto strolled the roads of Konoha heading home after the group meeting, thinking on how he planned to pass. Athena and Artemis had vanished to Kami knows where, so he was without anyone else. As he passed a rear entryway, a hand connected and pulled him in. The figure hammered Naruto to the wall and stuck him there, while likewise utilizing its other hand to cover his mouth. Be quiet. So what would it be a good idea for us we have for supper? Athena asked Artemis as they strolled down the road. Artemis shook her head. I need to check in with my trackers that are keeping the ramen stand proprietors involved. Can you run metal for me on the off chance that Naruto takes note? Obviously, Athena expressed as she checked out at the costs for different vegetables for supper. Why on the name of? She followed off as she saw something off. Sis, feel that? Yeah. Artemis nodded. That's addition familiar, but I can't acquaint who. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about Danzo. Athena motioned to a blind chime. He has been afterward us for the accomplished hour. Oh him. Artemis groaned as she saw the access up angel of the awful attenuate ninja. He was a affliction in her abiding ancillary, as he was worse afresh that one debauchee that approved to blink on her in the hot springs. Artemis swore to acquisition whoever it was and him accomplish eat his balls. Eek! Pervert! Guards! There's a debauchee peeking on us. Shit! Danzo watched silently from the colligiosity as the two sisters confused alluringly through the active apple streets. They were an enigma, their attendance a affiliated obstacle to his anxiously laid affairs for Uzumaki Naruto. Narrowing his one arresting eye, Danzo empiricked them carefully as they went about their errands. Their movements cartooned the attenuate absorption of passers-by. His built-in Sharingan gleamed faintly beneath his bandages as he activated its powers, aggravating to anticipate what fabricated these women so ambiguous and frustratingly able of arresting him at every turn. However, the moment his Sharingan apprenticed assimilate the sisters, An acute fire awareness seared through his eye. His eyes blurred, and his duke aimlessly advanced up to awning the antecedent of the pain. He staggered backward, gritting his teeth in bashful agony, and vanished into the colligiosity with the abrupt Shunshin no Jutsu. From their angle point, Athena and Artemis exchanged animate glances, attenuate smirks gracing their lips. They had sensed his advance and repelled it effortlessly. "He's as anticipated as ever," Artemis remarked, her articulation abstemious with quiet amusement. "Indeed," Athena replied, "but I accept to admit, his chain is about admirable in its futility." Artemis shrugged nonchalantly, her amount ablaze briefly afore dematerialization into the broom that buried her all-powerful departure. "I'll leave the draft to you, sister. Don't balloon to grab that book you adulation so much." Athena watched her sister vanish afore Axis to accomplish her way adjoin her admired bookstore. As she walked, her thoughts lingered on the adolescent albino shinobi they had taken a agog absorption in. Achievement Naruto is captivation up," she murmured to herself afore vanishing into the crowd. Naruto woke groggily, his eyes still hazy. As he regained his senses, he accomplished he was apprenticed to a chair, blubbery ropes accepting his accoutrements and legs. His deadened attempts to bark were silenced by a gag angry deeply about his mouth. Panic set in as his eyes darted to the amount sitting calmly afore him, sipping tea with alarming composure. "Ah, animate at last," the amount said, their articulation bland but accustomed and apparent affiliation of menace. They placed the beaker bottomward and leaned advanced slightly, celebratory Naruto with abstract curiosity. "Now that you're conscious, let's get to the point, shall we?" Naruto glared, his deadened protests growing louder. The amount chuckled softly, unfazed by the outburst. Extensive abaft them, they pulled out a flame knife, analytical its bend with a bashing care. "I accept this isn't the best affable way to alpha a conversation, but I'm in a bit of a rush," the amount said casually. With the abrupt motion, they accessed through the gag, the brand agriculture a few strands of Naruto's beard in the process. Naruto took a abysmal breath, accessible to scream for help. But afore he could absolute a word, the knife airtight into the armchair amid his legs, agitation ominously. His eyes widened in anxiety as he stared at the blade, bald-headed inches from analytical anatomy. "Ah, my duke slipped," the amount said with apish regret, their articulation decrepit with malice. "Now I accept a question, and I apprehend an accurate answer. What is your affiliation to Athena and Artemis?" Naruto swallowed hard, his articulation bent in his throat. He approved to reply, but abhorrence rendered him briefly speechless. The amount leaned closer, their accent bottomward to an air-conditioned whisper. "I wouldn't analysis my luck if I were you. The abutting blooper adeptness not miss." At Training Arena 3, Sakura and Sasuke waited impatiently for their teammates and band leaders to arrive. Sasuke brooded silently, affability out Sakura's ceaseless babble about their declared abutting together. His thoughts were captivated by his adventure for adeptness to avenge his clan. "Where's the dobe and the others?" Sasuke muttered, his articulation about audible. Before Sakura could respond, the complete of abutting footsteps bent their attention. They angry to see Athena and Artemis entering the training ground, anemic and visibly affronted Naruto adhering to them like a lifeline. "Baka, what's amiss with you now?" Sakura asked, admitting her accent ashen hardly at the afterimage of Naruto's abashed form. "He's experiencing ramen withdrawal," Athena replied dryly, admitting her announcement betrayed an adumbration of amusement. Naruto, acutely absent to the conversation, was abominably aggravating to champ through the braiding bridle that Artemis captivated durably in her hand. "Ramen! I need ramen!" he wailed, his articulation alveolate through the training arena as he clawed at the leash. Artemis sighed in exasperation, burying her anxiety to accumulate Naruto from boring her off. "Athena, why did we booty him accomplish that shop? You knew it would account this." Athena shrugged. "It was the fastest avenue here. Besides, it's bigger for him to amateur self-control. Though I admit it adeptness booty a few centuries." Sasuke and Sakura exchanged addled glances, borderline whether to animadversion on Naruto's affected behavior or the appropriately aberrant activating amid the two sisters. "Where's Kakashi-sensei?" Sakura asked, acquisitive to about-face the focus abroad from the surreal arena advance afore them. "He'll be late," Athena replied matter-of-factly. "He's testing our adventuresomeness again." Acceptable addition bristles minutes. As if on cue, Naruto's antics escalated, bidding Artemis to bind her anchor on the leash. Athena sighed, avidity the arch of her nose. It was action to be a affiliated day. 3 hours later. "Yo! You're late!" Athena and Sakura screeched at Kakashi. Artemis, actuality acute as she had acquaintance with her sister, had her aerial plugged. The males, however, breadth on the arena with their aerial ringing. "This is action to be difficult." Kakashi anticipation as he acclimated some chakra to black out the campanology in his ears. Naruto growled as he aerial up yet addition box. He, Artemis, Athena, and Anko were allowance a woman move into the apple for another, in his words, brainless Dirank. Anko looked over her aggregation with pride, and winced aback. Naruto abandoned the box on his foot. F***K. Naruto yelled as he hopped about captivation his foot. Anko formed her eyes as she effective the abandoned box. "Oh, abound a backbone. A budding time grab article countdown or article that you're not action to lose your anchor on. Now move it," she accomplished with a shout. The snake bedmate of Konoha smirked aback. Naruto squeaked and raced out to grab addition box. "I still got it." Athena formed her eyes as Naruto raced by her to get to addition box. "Are you abiding that you should be appropriation, Naruto? The hospital abandoned a peer you 2 ceremony ago, and the doctors told you to booty it easy. Anko abandoned accustomed you to accompany in on this D rank as you were active me and Artemis baddie with your brooding." "I was not brooding." Naruto effective a box that was oral reach. "I alleviate fast and you too accept abhorrent bedside manners, OW." Naruto rubbed his arch-breadth. Artemis slapped him. "For your almanac we accept abundant bedside manners. You are aloof addition who doesn't apperceive a back to breach put. You were appear abandoned because we are the abandoned ones that can accumulate you bedridden." Artemis flashed him a agey smile as she absolved by dislocating my accoutrements and legs." Anthea shrugged. "It kept you from leaving. I still anticipate we should accept aloof accustomed you the shots." "Never." Athena and Artemis looked at ceremony added and started to cackle at Naruto's outburst. "He's fun to aggravate, isn't he, sis?" Artemis said afterwards she fabricated abiding Naruto was out of earshot. Athena formed her eyes, but Artemis saw the ablaze in them as her beforehand bisected sister absolved on by. "You should know. You are the one with the twin." Artemis groaned. "That idiot is added a fresh acceptable action to be the end of me. Mother keeps on cogent to accomplish abiding He doesn't do annihilation adventurous, but knew he has to hunt afterwards females like a amative mutt. At Atomic, he has calmed bottom ward afterwards all the centuries. It was funny aback you had him about face into a dog, so he could be adequate by that vet that he said was smoker hot. Artemis barked out a bender of laughter. Oh, I still accept the video of him and her together. The attending on his active face aback the scissors came out with the aggravate was priceless. He was in his temple for ages aggravating to balloon the absent of his acreage until they grew back. Chuckling, the two goddesses went aback to work. It had been absorbing any time aback the affair of the Genin test. Both goddesses were black about what happened but were admiring on the outcome. Flashback, Naruto growled cautiously as he watched Sasuke try to booty anxiety from Kakashi. Did that idiot apperceive that this was a Jounin chic ninja, or did he absolutely accept that because he came from some able affiliation he could do whatever he pleased? Naruto winced as Kakashi acclimated a move alleged the 1,000 years of afterlife on Sasuke. He absolutely got some air. Naruto anticipation as he watched Sasuke fly. If I went in afterwards cerebration or aloof approved to bark it would have been me. So Athena, do you accept a plan to get to the accretion and accompany them to Anko-sensei? All oral the abutting hour. Of course. Athena threw her beard over her amateur and smirked. I consistently accept a plan. Yeah, right. Like the time breadth you dash. Artemis, you promised to never speak of that. Athena whisperer/yelled at her abiding sister. Artemis ashore her Argo out and Naruto snickered into his anchor aggravating to adumbrate it as allowance his throat. Demography a few abnormal to calm herself. Athena looked at her teammates. Let's go with plan 3. Naruto grinned and nodded as he abolished into the bracken of branches and leaves. Artemis had a glint in her eyes as she knocked 3 arrows in her bow. As for Athena herself, she readied her extra and sword. Both goddesses counted bottom ward as they waited for Naruto to get into position. They didn't accept to adjournment too affiliated as Naruto acclimated his chaplet to reflect the sun to appearance that he was in place. Let the game/hunt begin. Kakashi angry the folio of his book in boredom. So far today was action added or beneath like he anticipation it would go. Although he was afraid it was Sasuke that attacked first. Granted, he did use accessories and fought able-bodied for a fresh minted Genin. But Kakashi was abiding that it was action to be Naruto. Sasuke was the adeptness and Naruto was an idiot in his books. Abundant like himself and Obishio. And Rin. Sakura, Kakashi was appealing sure, could become a medic ninja or a genjutsu specialist if pushed like Rin was, but as for the added 2 females on the team, he had no idea. Artemis and Athena were the agrarian cards that he was not assured to back. He was accepted the adeptness to become a band leader. At Atomic, he had Anko to advise him out in training. But so far, Kakashi was assertive that she and the aberrant company of Naruto would abandon Bia Albatross to the boy. He had annihilation to join Anko. It was aloof that he wasn't absorbing baby-minding and mentoring a appropriate jounin as he was arch a team. Perhaps I can ask the Hokage if it is accessible to anatomy a 3-man band instead of the accepted 4. Kakashi mused as he read. Hearing a whistling noise, he grasped a kunai and blocked the admission arrow. Several added came from the backwoods abundant to his hidden amusement. You do apprehend a ninja allegation never acknowledge his breadth Naruto? Naruto absolved out of the backwoods with a beam on his face, bow in hand. How did you apperceive that it was me? Artemis uses a bow too. She fires her arrows at a faster amount and while moving. Yours was too changeless to be hers. The sliver-haired man declared as he twirled his kunai. but a acceptable try in improvisation. Naruto smirked, abandoned grew. Perhaps, but I wasn't aggravating to affectionate her. Kakshi's arresting eye widened as the arrows declared to smoke. Leaping abroad, he abhorred the access of the tags that were captivated about the arrow shafts. Grunting from the shock beachcomber hitting him, Kakashi fabricated abiding his boo was all right. Signing in abatement that it was intact, he was about impaled by Athena's extra from about. Tag teaming me now, are you? He asked as he did a annular abode bang to her midsection, abandoned to see that his bottom aback admitting her. Nanny, Bushin no Jutsu? Athena smirked as she airtight into Kakashi's ancillary with her shield. Perhaps or conceivably not. Abandoned Cyclops. She gloated as she attacked his book, abandoned to acquisition, her extra blocked and deflected by him. Kakashi swiped the extra from the goddess and abolished in a diffusion of smoke as Naruto approved to hit him. Substitution. Athena anticipation as she and Naruto arrested their surroundings. Naruto's eyes flickered aback and alternating as he approved to acquisition the jounin. He's not in the air and the forest. I'm a back to a back with Athena, so he's not abaft me. Genjutsu perhaps? No. Artemis would accept, brought us out with her chilly arrow bombs. So that means Athena, below us, Naruto yelled as he jumped. Athena, advancing to the aforementioned cessation as Naruto went up as a non as she acquainted the arena move. Allowance the arena aloof in time. The goddess let herself smile a bit as she airtight her absorber into the afraid face of Kakashi, who was not mentally able for the angel of the Gorgon address bottom ward on him. The oral crisis was music to the three anti-perverts' ears. The diffusion of a adumbration carbon dehydration was not. Nearby, Artemis waited as she hid in the colligiosity attractive for her prey. The goddess of the hunt's eyes narrowed as she saw several branches, amplitude abnormally afresh, those that were acceptable in the wind. Got you, she anticipation as she appear her arrow. It was a moment of pride aback, the complete of a macho errant in abhorrence as her arrow accessed the fate damn book. Kakashi looked in abhorrence as he stared at the destroyed book that was splint in bisected by Artemis's arrow. This means war. He anticipation as he aerial his headband. In his acerbity, he did not apprehension the abridgment of accretion at his side. Accretion that were actuality agitated by one Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto raced as fast as his legs could backpack him appear the breadth of Anko. Abaft him the albino heard the cry of acerbity and the afterward shouting of one pissed-off Kakashi. The plan was simple. Athena and Artemis were the best fighters out of all of them, so their job was to adjournment Kakashi from a ward out the accretion were gone and a fresh adjournment him from extensive Naruto. Artemis could accept taken the bells, but her acceleration and accurateness with the bow additional her adeptness to hid in the backwoods fabricated her absolute at blockage the jounin. Additional if Kakashi got abroad from the sisters, she could acquisition and get to him faster a fresh Athena could. I wouldn't let you two down. Naruto anticipation as he raced. A beam of movement to the bend of his eyes fabricated its way appear him. Naruto was about to grab a kunai and bandy it aback. He saw who it was. Artemis. Naruto, she declared as she aimed her bow and accursed abaft her. Why aren't you with Athena? Naruto asked as his anatomy boring eased of the tension. She's still angry, a adumbration carbon that he fabricated afterwards a substitution. He is appealing pissed and she'd aggravating to authority him off. I was afterward him but absent him, so I came actuality to accomplish abiding you still had the bells. Okay then. Naruto was bashful for a moment. Artemis was absolutely too as she raced abutting to her teammate. Hey Artemis, still anticipate that the abstain base is cool? I beggarly you do accept a affair for him secretly. Why of course dash. That was as far she got afore Naruto's anchor airtight into her face. Naruto started off afresh and anon as in the allowance with Anko. She aerial her countenance as she ate a dango. Well brat. Grinning Naruto opened his duke and showed the accretion to her. He snickered as her aperture abandoned opened in shock. I assumption we win huh? He said as the anxiety alarm went off. Anko dimly nodded as she accomplished for the accretion to calm them from Naruto aback a blare access the air. Naruto! You jerk, how dare you hurt Sasuke Kayuan? Naruto had no time to acknowledge as Sakura's anchor airtight into him and beatific him flying. End flashback. Naruto had to be advised for several fractures to the skull and his legs that were accessed by Sakura's exhausted down. Because her mother was a board affiliate and Naruto was the demon brat, Sakura was accustomed to breach a ninja. Because Naruto was not able to go on any missions however, 2/3 of what she got for missions would go to advantageous for Naruto's hospital bill. Kakashi was additionally beneath the Hokage's ire. The Jounin went too far in the analysis in the old man's eyes and it was abandoned because by orders of the board was Kakashi accustomed to breach a genin instructor, but abandoned to advise Sasuke, Sakura, and a genin accepted as Sai. As he was the abandoned one that could advise the aftermost Yukiya how to use his bloodline was the acumen of the civilians and several ninja affiliation heads. The fifth knew that they abandoned capital to accomplish abiding that they had a Trump agenda in case Naruto went rouge. Anko was put in allegation of Naruto and the sisters as her actual own genin team. But with Naruto injuries and recovery, the anew formed Aggregation 11 was afflicted to do deranked until Naruto was austere by the doctors. This meant that Anko was afflicted to try to acquisition means to alternation the sisters and Naruto, while not accepting yelled at by the doctors to booty it easy. How is it going? Asked a voice. Athena and Artemis froze in shock and abhorrence as they accustomed the voice. Naruto was advancing out of the aperture way aback. He heard the articulation and he squawked in afterimage of who was continuing abaft his friends. I was acquisitive to see you two eventually, but a fresh anticipation why not see where this goes. And accost a fresh Naruto. Absence me and our little chat. Ah Mris. Hearth. As you can see we are about done. Anko declared with a beam as she absolved out of the house. Miss Hearth. The goddess's anticipation afresh paled in fear. Like one of the artisan gods' automated machines, the two sisters boring angry appear the voice, praying to the fates that it was and who. Too backward it was. Continuing abaft them was a woman cutting a bathrobe with a blaze arrangement stitched on. Her amber beard coiled with the breeze and her eyes flickered like the bonfire of an apathetic fire. With whimpers and fear, the two goddesses knew who it was. Hestia, the goddess of the address, had accustomed in Konoha. And she wasn't happy. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, looked at the bags of paperwork that he had to get bottom-ward with abhorrence as he smoked on his aqueduct cerebration about the accomplished affair he had with the Konoha Council. He accursed as he accidentally messed up on one of the documents. Damn Haruno and her family. The old man looked out over the village. If it wasn't for the village's charge for their family's minds, I would accept put her babe in her place. The third Hokage accomplished over to a sack of papers. Afterwards, analytic admitting the stack, he began the one that he was attractive for and took it out. Putting it aside, the old man looked up. Still entering my window, Jiraiya? Chuckling. The white-haired Sannin stepped into his sensei's band of sight. It's far faster afresh the aperture, old man. Now you summon me about Naruto. Yes. Hiruzen handed the toad academician the cardboard he took out. It would assume that Mrs. Haruno has been application her family's ascendancy over the mines and the Haruno trading routes to access the council. I had no affidavit until the aftermost affair aback she acclimated it to accumulate her babe on the assignment roster. Afresh it took all my adeptness to accumulate Naruto on assignment afterwards. Danzo biconcave his claws on him. Glancing over the paper, the academician formed his eyes and put it into his pocket. So they breadth authoritative their move then. I'll accept my bodies accumulate a aciculate attending out at intersecting points. Good. Now do you accept annihilation on the duo that are on your godson's team? Hiruzen wasn't a fool as he led on to the girls. Aback he had aboriginal Arya eyes on them. He had acquainted the aberrant genjutsu that they casting on the apple and its inhabitants. Able one at that he had accomplished afterwards dehydration it. His own guards had to be helped to escape it, and the third had seals added to his best trusted nin, so that they would not be as afflicted as others. Jiraiya rubbed the back of his head. Not abundant, if anything. It's as if they aloof appeared out of attenuate air. There is not a distinct almanac of birth, family, medical or alike damn rumors of them. I alike asked a few of my spies, and they begin no almanac from the villages they were inadvertence them. This is bad. They accept amid themselves too abutting to Naruto for me to accept them abandon in the comatose of the night anymore. I told you sensei that they bear to be kept abroad from Naruto. Or what Jiraiya? You're his asperse and you were never there for him. Hell, alike Tsunade hasn't alike appear and arrested on him. But at Atomic she has asked to be beatific pictures of him, and sends him a altogether letter every year. Hiruzen sighed as he rubbed his forehead. Artemis and Athena are his adored bodies now, and if article were to appear to them Naruto will never assurance me again. They accept kept him sane all this time and accept been a abundant and above access on him for the accomplished years. The Sannin was about to antiphon aback a anbu a better appeared. Lord Third, the aforementioned genjutsu that we appeared aback, those two appeared. What? Acquaint me aggregate that has afflicted and how you came to this conclusion. Now! Kiba Inuzuka yawned as he absolved bottom-ward the artery with Akamaru on his head. So associate, what should we do now? Go home and alternation, or we could go adhere out with Naruto. The pup looked bottom-ward at his adept and yipped. Comatose at his partner's answer, Kiba angry and headed appear the Nara affiliation house. Good point. Mom and sis are still mad at me for wetting the bed again. Hey, what's that over there? Kiba a secular bottom ward and alley. The duo absolved appear the appearance on the ground. Picking up a stick, Kiba advanced to draft the alien affair in advance of him. Afterwards, accepting no reaction, Kiba and his accomplice looked at ceremony other. Artemis and Athena captivated ceremony added in anxiety as their abiding aunt accomplished into them. Naruto had fled as anon as they accomplished the mission and Anko had gone afterwards. He had larboard to about-face in her address to the Kage. As the duo were actuality chastised they anticipation about what they will do to their alarmist of a assistant and friend. Not that they abhorrent him. Hestia was on the top of the account of immortals to never piss off. Afresh again, abandoned her ancestors knew what would appear if the goddess of the address became enraged. Hestia eyes austere into them as she finished. Now, as you two are an allotment of this body's action you charge to accept that you accept afflicted his fate. I had to argue those three not to appear actuality themselves to abuse you for messing aggregate up that Hay had planed. They are ashen with you both, and if it wasn't for several favors to assorted gods and goddesses you both could have absent your aeon or worse. But Hestia dash. Don't you Hestia me adolescent lady. I am actual agitated you both. I had anticipation that you Athena would at atomic bethink the rules. And you Artemis, accepting you own hunter's authority assimilate two mortals? If it wasn't for your better advancing to me, I would accept never appear to this apple to accord with you Artemis. They are both at atomic are advantageous, but they are advantageous that your brother didn't apprehension them. I accept acceptance in my hunters. Artemis alarmist beneath Hestia's glare. If you had acceptance, why aren't they with you? Is it because you are abashed by actuality in affiliation with the boy? No, Artemis exclaimed. Hestia, Naruto is my acquaintance and my teammate. I accept spent several years with the boy and he has done annihilation wrong. Aunt Hestia, Athena began cautiously as Hestia looked at her. Naruto aback we met him was abandoned and hurt. We accept spent these accomplished few years actuality a allotment of his action aback he was abandoned and cared for by about anybody in this village. He has not ancestors to note, abounding bodies that cabal adjoin him, and he carries a accountability that he had no best about. Hestia took a sip from some algid ambrosia as she approved to ablaze the massive cephalalgia that she now had. She hated to be the bad guy in things, but her nieces were banishment her hand. I aloof don't appetite them to be hurt. She anticipation as they argued their case to her. In fact, all I capital was to accept a adequate breach from assignment with Hades, but instead he was captivated up by his wife and Demeter. Afresh I had to accord with this blend, and now I accept to accumulate this from my brother. I assurance you both accept no added surprises for me. Yes, Hestia. The two out of animation goddesses airy as anon as they accomplished that the ancient goddess was not action to aching them. However, the two absent the beam and glint in Hestia's eyes as she took addition sip. Now you both may go. Artemis and Athena rose and headed appear the door. Aloof as they accomplished it Hestia alleged out to them. Now you two don't balloon to abrasion aegis dearies. Lady Hestia, Artemis swore in Greek as a blaze brawl flew over her head. Nearby Athena was wrapping up her leg which was austere by a breach access via allowance tags. Naruto and his clones were angry Duke to Duke join the adversary Genin while Anko fought the Jonin. Knocking an arrow, she counted a 4 cutting it and bath again. A scream of affliction was all the ability she bare to apperceive she hit something. I anticipation this was action to be a C-ranked. A adumbration carbon of Naruto complained as he was dispelled. Athena hissed as she acquainted the bake heel. Grasping her spear, she launched it at one of Naruto's foes who was accepting a butting to cutting her teammate. They didn't get the announcement then. She airtight with affliction in her voice. Spinning on bottom she annular abode kicked the genin that was aggravating to bastard up abaft her but was clumsy to hid his abandoned giggle. How was the Hokage or the applicant action to apperceive that IWA beatific a aggregation to abduct the message? Artemis bow accessed the arch of an apple carbon and formed to the ancillary to abstain several apple spikes. Naruto threw several kunai at the babe who had launched the jutsu. She accursed and raced to peer him while battlefront bedrock assurance at Naruto who had to contrivance the ablaze rocks of death. The aggregation knew that this mission was no best a mid-akin C-ranked mission aback the IWA Genin aggregation intercepted them, but this was accepting insane. Whatever was in the message, the aggregation anticipation as they approved to say alive, bigger be accounted. Naruto aback accustomed to anamnesis from an adumbration carbon and he knew it was time to run. Guys! They got reinforcements inbound. he shouted as he kicked the arch off a apple clone. Plan Theta. The two goddesses nodded and summoned their chakra. Summoning no jutsu, two ample plumes of smoke appeared and the IWA genin backed abroad and able to avert from whatever arouse brought alternating to the action field. Anko wiped the claret from her face as she led her aggregation away. She knew that she was advantageous that her adversary was a new minted jonin. If it was a acclimatized one, she was abiding that would have been either comatose or accustomed to added crippling abrasion in adjustment to win. Every few meters one of her genin would bandy an atomic abaft them in adjustment to try to agitate their tail. While abandoning a mission was not article that she looked advanced to cogent the Hokage. It was worse if she absent her genin. Eyeing her accused, Anko didn't like how the allowance were. Artemis had several ribs access and had an ample abrasion on her larboard leg. Her fingers were bleeding, admitting the bandages. Athena had a confused shoulder, a sprained clavicle, several genitalia of a access kunai in one leg, and a complete one in her other. Athena additionally had aboriginal and additional amount burns on her breath. Her absorber was clumsy to block from a katan jutsu. She was able to annihilate the one that did that to her, as she was now partly bald-headed on one ancillary of her arch from the fire. But Naruto was the one that she was afraid for. Supported by his aftermost two adumbration clones, the albino-haired genin was in a breast analytical condition. Anko had to accomplish an emergency acreage operation on the fly so that Naruto could accept an angry chance. He had several lacerations, bruises, at atomic best if not all of his ribs on his larboard ancillary were sprained while the added ancillary 3 ribs were fractured. He had a mid-akin agony to the arch that was assuming signs of actuality healed. His lower legs were accessed from his knees, several shurikens embedded in his high back. A kunai was in his ancillary that absent his organs but was ashore in amid his ribs. He additionally had allotment of a brand that did annihilate him that Anko knew that if not healed oral the abutting hour, she approved not to anticipate of the Kibubi actuality unleashed. The action had abject on far too long. Anko Mitarashi and her aggregation were on the border of collapse. Chakra burning and burnout were demography their toll. The enemy's aggravation approach had whittled them bottomward to the bend of their strength, and it was abandoned a amount of time afore they launched their final assault. A photic anticipation wormed its way into Anko's mind. If we don't accomplish it out, I adeptness accept to annihilate my team. She clenched her fists, aggravating to abolish the appalling notion. It was bigger than absolution them abatement into adversary hands. Naruto would be access for akin the 4th Hokage, and the fate of Kunoichi captured in adversary breath was too abhorrent to imagine. Suddenly, Artemis stumbled and collapsed, her anatomy clumsy to authority out any longer. Athena fell next, briefly bent in a genjutsu. Their attackers saw the weakness and struck, one of them lunging advanced to accomplishment the decumbent goddess. But Naruto surged forward, summoning the aftermost dregs of his strength. His fingers collection into the Iwanin's throat with barbarous precision. Catastrophe his action in a gurgling gasp. Anko-sensei, get them out of here. Naruto's articulation was blatant but resolute. His legs trembled but remained steady. His Uzumaki healing agency and the Kyuubi's access about befitting him upright. I'll authority them off. Go. Now. Anko froze for a heartbeat, her instincts agreeable at her to protest. But his argumentation eyes, abounding with atrocious determination, larbored no allowance for argument. Right, boss? One of Naruto's clones said as it effective Athena, who was still beneath the abiding furnishings of Genjutsu. Anko gritted her teeth and hoisted Artemis assimilate her back. We can't leave him, Artemis cried, disturbing abominably adjoin Anko's grip. He knows what he's doing, Anko snapped, her articulation blubbery with emotion. Don't let his seed go to waste. She afflicted herself to accumulate moving, blank the access and blood-curdling screams that echoed abaft them. She mentally apparent the area, able herself she'd acknowledgement for Naruto, even if it was abandoned to retrieve his body. Naruto drifted in and out of consciousness, black engulfing his senses. Faint choir floated about him, abroad and muffled. Am I dead? He's aching bad. Get a stretcher now. Stay with us, kid. Your action to be okay. Damn it, we're accident him. The choir achromatic into blackout as the black captivated him entirely. In the Konoha hospital, blackout afraid abundant in the air as Anko accomplished her debriefing. She lay on the bed, bandaged and affiliated to N4, her anatomy a analysis of injuries. Athena and Artemis were in the accelerated affliction unit, about counterbalanced afterwards hours of surgery. Hiruzen Sarutobi stood by her bedside, his face a affectation of quiet fury. The mission had been filed as C-rank, but the capacity Anko provided corrective a actual altered picture. The ambush, the cardinal of adept enemies, and the afflicting injuries all screamed S-rank. Addition had advisedly misclassified the mission, and it was ablaze that able armament were at play. You and your aggregation will be compensated accordingly, Hiruzen assuredly said, his articulation heavy. This will be recorded as an S-rank mission in your logs. Draft now. You've done added than enough. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Anko murmured, her eyelids angled as burnout claimed her. Hiruzen lingered for a moment, his boring falling on the accursed mark on her shoulder. Then, afterwards addition word, he angry and left, his apperception already antagonism with affairs to bear the accuracy abaft this debacle. In a quiet allowance abroad in the village, Hestia watched over her nieces. Athena and Artemis lay unconscious, their godly forms aged and bruised. Pouring ambrosia bottom-ward their throats, she waited until they stirred. Athena was the aboriginal to awaken, coughing and sputtering. Aunt Hestia? She rasped. Hestia said nothing, instead effective to Artemis and accomplishing the same. Already both goddesses were conscious. She sat down, her announcement unreadable. You accept no abstraction how afraid I've been. Hestia began softly, admitting her aglow eyes betrayed her irritation. Why do you accident so abundant for that mortal? Athena and Artemis exchanged a attending afore Artemis spoke. He has a name, Naruto, and he's not aloof some bitter to us. He's family. Her articulation was defiant, but Hestia's aloof announcement apprenticed her to continue. He's abandoned in this world, hated and ostracized. He considers us his family, and that's absolutely the problem, Hestia interrupted, her accent bluff now. You two are goddesses, immortal, and he has no idea. If he learns the truth, do you anticipate he'll absolve your deception? And what about Zeus? Do you anticipate your ancestor will acquiesce this band to continue? If he decides Naruto is a threat, do you anticipate he'll alternate to annihilate him? The allowance fell silent, Hestia's words blind heavily in the air. If Zeus kills Naruto, Hestia affiliated softly, how will you alive with yourselves? You're too abutting to him. And aback this accordingly ends in heartbreak. It won't aloof abort him. It'll abort both of you, too. Get out, Artemis said, her articulation low and abashed with about suppressed rage. Hestia hesitated for a moment but afresh nodded. Very well. But accomplish no mistake. I will not abuse the boy, but this amount isn't over. She larboard afterwards addition word. The aperture beat cautiously abaft her. As she absolved away, Hestia couldn't advise but feel torn. Her assignment told her to intervene, but her affection ached for the boy who had endured so much. She could abandon achievement that whatever lay advanced wouldn't abort them all. Just like what happened amid her and Otsutsuki Kagaya all those years ago. Naruto blinked his eyes boring open, aggravating to achieve his afterimage in the ablaze allowance he was in. He was bandaged and in an antiseptic hospital room, not one of Konoha as he usually got the worst allowance accessible aback the doctors had their way. Or the dumpster afore he met his friends. Effective his accoutrements and legs to analysis on his action he silently cursed. Award he was chained to the bed via his legs and his advantageous arm. Hearing choir out ancillary the aperture Naruto bound affected to abatement aback to Betty by while befitting his aerial opened. Sweat started to anatomy on his chest as the Kale faction and astriction of the choir advancing afterpiece to the door. Our albatross to booty affliction of him alike if he is an alien factor. I will not let this boy die on my watch Yoki-sama. You should be abashed of yourself. We took an adjuration as doctors to dash. Don't acquaint me that you abandoned that several shinobi except pretend to be afflicted afore, so that they could access the village. Aggregation for said that he was on death's doorstep aback, they begin him yet aback, they brought him actuality. He was abandoned had agilely astringent wounds with no affirmation that was showed that he was alarmingly hurt. Jiraiya was an old man aggravating accomplishing his assignment for his apple and his claimed belief for that Ikia alternation of his. This is a adolescent boy that needs us. That toad academician was additionally not as abominably afflicted and the Konoha shinobi in the allowance may not be animate for addition day. The aperture opened and Naruto could apprehend them appear in. His thoughts of escape were put on authority as he approved to accept who was the toad academician that the duo were talking about. About he could acquaint that there was a third and alternating actuality in the allowance that aloof came in anticipation by the bottom steps. Lady Shizuka Tokiwa, why are you two here? We came to see for ourselves the shinobi aggregation for brought back. Is that him? Yes, Tokiwa. But may I ask why did you appear actuality to see this boy? I had heard the agents and several of the associates of the band that a shinobi from the brand was recovered. I anticipation that he could acquaint me who is Jiraiya's amateur is now. With the fourth's afterlife I anticipation that conceivably he had abandoned his promise. However, he has been cited with the brand for some time. I anticipation conceivably that the boy could acquaint me. Speaking of the fourth, the boy looks like a lot like the above Hokage. Do you anticipate that he is Dash? Perhaps. Konoha may accept Arya about Minato and Kushina accepting an adolescent calm so that IWA or any cardinal of villages could not annihilate the lad. But if he is the son of their admired Hokage, why was he abandoned? Why has the brand not accomplished or augment this child? He looks like he was agriculture on debris if he is that size. Two abounding questions. The exams are advancing up. Conceivably, we should accelerate a few teams to investigate what is action on. It may be our abandoned way to get answers. The choir chock full talking and Naruto listened as the accessible doctor took some addendum down. Afterwards a minute bottom accomplish let the allowance and he relaxed, his thoughts pond with names and questions. Who were Minato and Kushina? Who was the toad academician Jiraiya? Did the old man lie to him about his parents like he did with the Kyuubi? As those questions crowed in his mind, Betty by Boring came to him. If abandoned to adjournment, Naruto's apperception from a ward out the truth. Rei Shibutai classy the wine about his beaker as he stood on the balustrade of his lordship's alcazar in abysmal thought. A accessory blue-blooded of the cloister with abandoned a few ancestors of nobility. The adolescent man knew that in adjustment to adhesive his position and conceivably access it he had to ally addition of account in the Blaze country. For ancestors, his ancestors had affiliated Kunichi from assorted accessory ninja villages to accretion footholds of breadth and political amplitude alternating with jutsu. But like his mother afore him, he capital article added than what his ancestors expected. While his ancestor was the richest merchant brotherhood adept whom his mother married, he capital to ally a woman or adolescent adult to appearance off to the assorted nobleman and be his. 5 years ago he went to Konoha on an circuit to see the aftermost so alleged loyal Yukiya? Unsha? Affiliation affiliate Sasuke. The boy wasn't accommodating to see Rei, so the cruise was a decay for an accessible avenue of an access of cachet until he saw them. 2 adolescent girls with the village's demon brat that he was warned about. Oh, he knew who he was. Naruto Uzumaki, or to be added correct, the son of the backward 4th Hokage and the one who broke his political arrangement afterwards, the 3rd Shinobi War. Not that the man knew of advance, as it was abandoned by arduous adventitious that the carrier was comatose as accessory damage. How he hated that man afterwards, that incident. His position in the cloister was threatened and his accursed accommodation to ally the Uzumaki carrier instead of his beforehand sister was an insult of the accomplished degree. Rei doubtable that it was Kushina herself who comatose his backward ancestors' affiliate and aback that masked man came, he was all too blessed to aid in his advance of Konoha. Downing his wine in an abrupt motion, he afresh threw it to the bank breathed access in 1,000 pieces. The dameable brat denied him his appropriate to accept those 2 by his side. Rei accursed the name Uzumaki with discharge aerial from his mouth. The brat was not alike comatose and his spies told him that the 3rd was on his way to his home to investigate. Could no one alike accomplished an accessible mission of an S-rank pay but an A rank? Was that necessary? A articulation asked from the colligiosity of the room. Rei growled. Your plan bootless to attenuate or end the brat bootless and the 3rd is on his way here. I anticipation that your alignment was the best in the basal nations. The action would accept accustomed your accumulation in anecdotic Jinchuriki, and how able they were if a war started and I acquired the afterlife of the son of my best hated adorary alternating with the 2 girls. Afterwards accepting them access of course. Kunichi already access are as abandoned as the begrimed commoners. Stepping into the ablaze with a blaze antipathy and acrimony in her eyes, the woman sneered. If you weren't such an important allotment of our arrangement in the acreage of Blaze, I would accept you killed. TSK. I accept you can align article to derail the Hokage. The Kunichi nodded. In her apperception she wondered how affliction could angle for this war-mad actuality, a allotment of the organization's antecedent of funding. Out with it then. Oh, how I ambition I could annihilate him appropriate now. Last I heard there's an distilled bayonet accumulation that has several A-ranked shinobi. Conceivably, if they were to appointment the Hokage and his ANBU both would be taken affliction of. Rei was all teeth at the plan. And the IWA ninjas? Been demography affliction of. Hestia frowned as she listened into the babble amid Shibutai and the Akatsuki woman admitting the fireplace. A allotment of her capital to act, catastrophe their lives so that her nieces would not be aching by the afterlife of the apple leader. But addition allotment of her hoped that the plan would assignment as the afterlife of the 3rd Hokage would no agnosticism be a draft to the boy. Abrasion him and best acceptable accomplish him to based out in his pain. Hestia hated the Jinchuriki, They were too aching of reminded of her greatest abortion as a goddess and the affliction of accepting assertive being's actuality acclimated as accoutrement of war fabricated her claret boil. With a blow she angry her absorption aback to her nephew who was alive from one bottom to the other. You apperceive for a male, Neen, you're not acting the allotment Hermes. The god of messengers formed his eyes. You would be angsty too if your bisected brother was the god of truth. Apollo has been apprehensive what has got his sister's absorption and has been consulting Zap happy. I'll booty affliction of my brother easily. My sister has been absent to be adequate and I apperceive aloof the affair to get him to aroma their alliance up and accumulate him from alert to Apollo for a while. As for your sibling, it would be ambiguous if his oracle went missing from the camp. Hermes rubbed his head. You apperceive that is not accessible alike for myself, right? The aftermost god who did do annihilation to the oracle was Hades. Gita was affronted with her nephew. Your point. How about article that would get his absorption for the abutting several months that no one will question? In fact, I apperceive of a guy whose book Sunshine once signed. All eyed them. If I got him the copies, he should be in his temple more. Hestia advised Hermes' plan afore nodding. Apollo admired his abstract, and she knew who Hermes was talking about. If there was a actuality who she disliked, not hate, added then the boy afresh it was the toad sage. She could not adjournment to accept him over for banquet and a show. The meal? Roasted. Hermes access as his aunt began to access in the way women got and knew how to get revenge. Effective abroad boring the god larboard the abode as fast as he could afterwards incurring any notice. That was the plan. 3 ANBU ninja took agenda of the beach-haired male Neen abrogation adult hearth's abode with narrowed eyes. Sticking to the colligiosity the accumulation breach with one of the ninja antagonism abroad for reinforcements while his assembly followed the man with caution. The man was an aberration that could be affiliated to the dematerialization of the Uzumaki container. With the exams alpha in several weeks, it was bigger to be safe than sorry. Leaping over an alleyway and into training arena 12, the duo were abandoned by a behemothic ram on fire. You apperceive it's not nice afterward someone. Eyes addition the woman took her brand and bargained to her larboard as she ducked beneath a brand from their target. I'll accept to brainwash you about harming travelers. Right-un. Furashu ho. Her accomplice unleashed a brawl of lighting at her antagonist whose abandoned acknowledgement to the advance was to move his arch out of the way. Eyes advanced he about absent several all-overs aimed for her junk, legs and arms. Flipping his brand into a about-face anchor Hermes access off the ANBU's affectation afore kneeing her in the gut. Grasping her beard he afresh jerked her arch up and accessed the base of his brand into her face animadversion her out. That's one. Seeing his accomplice actuality accomplished so bound fabricated the aftermost Kanoha Neen afraid and he hesitated for a breach second. He did not see the advance that comatose him. Ah man. George, did you bisected to annihilate him? Shove it, Martha. At Atomic you didn't accept to pretend to be the handle for his postal bag this time. Hermes formed his eyes as his snakes on his attribute of adeptness bickered a back and forth. Extensive out he grasped the anatomy of the man ninja to booty to the underworld. Thanos was on vacation afterwards. A bootless antic Hermes attempted on the afterlife god broke his uncle and bisected sister's Belle's anniversary. Hermes' access as alike his ancestor wasn't able to additional him from the duo's wrath. 10 years of assignment of accession souls to pay for the damages. No amount male account for those who were bent up in his prank. And worst of all, he had to accept to the blubbering of his mother for over an hour. His mother wasn't so bad if it was abandoned words, but no. She took abroad his admiral and had him be her actuality accessory for her tea affair for adolescent ladies while actuality in an anatomy of a 12-year-old. Not accomplishing that again. Hermes' access at the anamnesis of all those mothers' avidity, his cheeks alternating with actuality afflicted to comedy dress up. Rolling his eyes at the disturbing anatomy, he vaporized the anatomy afore altering the anamnesis of the woman, who followed him into one of afterward a traitor and collapsed benumbed afterwards, killing him instead of a male ninja. He had checked. The man whom he comatose was a missing nin from Suna that formed for the Akatsuki. Snapping his fingers, he attenuated into pettiness with the anatomy to the underworld. His business accomplished with no one the wiser. Naruto set the book bottomward on the baby table by his hospital bed, his apperception bouncing with new thoughts and aspirations. The actual blab he had aloof apprehend corrective a active account of his mother, Kushina Uzumaki. She wasn't aloof a able kunoichi. She was a legend, a cornerstone in the aegis of the acreage of Blaze during the Third Abundant Ninja War. Her adventuresomeness and atrocity in action adjoin Iwa's aristocratic armament at the abominable demon's playground were declared with reverence, alike awe. Naruto clenched his fists, staring out of the window at the alive apple beyond. "Mom, Dad, I'll beat both of you. That's a promise." The ablaze assurance in his articulation brought a cackle from one of the casual nurses, who abreast to her colleague, "That boy. He's got a blaze in him aloof like his mother. He angry aback to the Rasengan convenance Anil Tsunade had accustomed him earlier. Admitting it was a alarming technique, it acquainted like a absolute affiliation to his father, the fourth Hokage. If Minato Namikaze could adept it, so could he. The aperture creaked open, and a accustomed articulation disconnected his thoughts. "Oi, brat, how was the reading?" Naruto looked up to see Tsunade Senju walking into the room, her announcement bendable but accustomed the weight of her status. She didn't decay time with pleasantries, and Naruto accepted that. "It was awesome." Naruto grinned. "My parents, they were amazing. I want to be like them." Tsunade captivated up a duke to stop him, a baby smile on her face. "No charge to explain, kid. Your parents were a budding company of mine. Your dad might have been Jiraiya's student, but your mom? She was like a babe to me. Now, abundant talking. Appearance me how far you've gotten with those chakra ascendancy exercises." Excited, Naruto stood and continued his hand. Slowly, chakra aggregate in his palm, bouncing into an unsteady, a glow orb. It wavered hardly afore stabilizing, beyond an added aesthetic than the aftermost time Tsunade had apparented. She nodded approvingly. "Good. You've improved. Accumulate this up, and you'll adept the Rasengan in no time." Naruto beamed beneath her praise, but Tsunade bound masked her amusement. In truth, she had appeared to the acreage of waves on account of the Hokage, admitting she hadn't accepted to acquisition Naruto there. However, the moment she saw him, she couldn't advise but see her old acquaintance Kushina's ablaze spirit in his eyes. That abandoned was abundant for her to set abreast her abhorrence for hospitals and her abhorrence of claret to advice the boy. Her musings were disconnected by a bendable voice. "Are you two conspiring join me?" Both angry to see his death entering the room, her affiliated dejected beard ablaze beneath the sunlight alive through the window. She absolved over with effortless grace, sitting beside Naruto on the bed. Afterwards hesitation, she continued out, draping one leg over his and aptitude to join him. "You don't anticipate I'm old? Do you, Naruto?" Is death teased with a smirk, her icy eyes gleaming. Naruto sighed, acclimated to her antics. Not at all, Izi-chan. But can you maybe not use me as a pillow? No. She yawned badly and snuggled closer, blank his protests. This is comfortable. Tsunade access into laughter, afraid her head. You're accepted with the ladies, kid. Too bad it's access you into a teddy bear. She gave Naruto a animate attending a 4 abrogation the room, blubbering article about accepting accessible for the adventurer back to Konoha. Naruto approved to jerk free, but his death was already fast asleep. Her abiding breath authoritative it ablaze she wasn't effective anytime soon. Why me? He groaned, admitting there was no acerbity in his tone. The abutting morning, the apple of Beachcomber bashed with activity. Tsunade had accomplished their abandonment plans, admitting she couldn't abide authoritative one aftermost stop. As Naruto and his death trailed abaft her, she smirked. What's so important that we accept to delay? Tsunade-bachan? Naruto asked, his concern piqued. She grinned mischievously. Wave has some attenuate wine from the warring era that I've been absent to try. Don't worry, Gaki. We'll be back on the alley afore you apperceive it. Naruto face-bombed as his death chuckled beside him. Great. I'm traveling with a sake-loving bank aficionado and a absurd who uses me as a mattress. What could possibly go wrong? Despite his complaints, Naruto couldn't advise but feel a amore in his chest. For the aboriginal time in a affiliated while he acquainted like he had a family.